What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024, and we are back with another midday stream here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that like button, hit that share button, hit the subscribe button. If you are new to the channel, hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Shout out to all of the members over here. Shout out to all the people on Patreon as well. I greatly appreciate all of the support, and also shout out to everybody who sends me stories to look at or speak about. So we currently have 49 people in here, or now just turned to 50 people in here. If you would please hit the like button, I would greatly appreciate it. As y'all can see by the title, we are pretty much tackling a heavy hitting discussion today. You know, we had our fun with ramen noodles on Monday, but now we got to talk about a very serious subject matter, and that is the execution of Airman Roger Forston. Before we go ahead and get into that, let's go ahead and acknowledge the people who are here so far. We have Reparations Nation, Denise Scales, CJ, Hacksign KT, Chris Vesey, Bills Fan 1970, Till Dog 12, Stardust, Spirit of the Most High, Pisces the King, Savion Draco 0, Black First, Second, and Third X, Crew Reality, Virgo, Moonchild, Dewani Nelson, Queen Imani Huey, and shout out to Crew Reality for becoming a member of the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Trisha, Savion, shout out to you for the first super chat of the day. He said, rest in power to my fellow servicemen in this country. Don't deserve you and others like us. Appreciate that. And that is it so far. So yeah, this is going to be, like I said, this is going to be a very heavy hitting topic. I'm sure that many people in here have already heard about this particular situation. This actually happened the day before my birthday. He was killed the exact day before my birthday on May the 3rd. And you know how mainstream media is, how they put certain things out there, even when we can see what we see with our own two eyes. So we're going to go over just a couple of things. It's probably not even going to take me that long to get through all of this, because the only thing we're going to go over is the actual news story itself. Then I also have the full body cam footage also. And then the latest story that has come out about this is that his body it was airlifted back to Atlanta, where he's from, so they can give him the proper burial. And then it's another thing I'm going to talk about too, related to this department. I'm sure y'all probably have heard about that too, but we'll get there eventually. So with that being said, I'm not going to waste any more time. Hopefully I can get through all of this within an hour. And of course, I'll drop the link. And if anybody wants to come up, I completely understand if nobody wants to come up, because this is a very emotional story. And I know how some people can be when it comes to stories such as these. So let me go ahead and share my screen right quick. All right, so this is the news story right here. It was posted on May 9th. Well, it was updated on May 9th, so it was probably posted up there before then, coming from CBS News. And it says, Florida sheriff deputies burst into wrong apartment and fatally shot U.S. airmen. And when I first heard about this, I immediately thought of Botham John. That was the immediate person I thought of, because this is the same exact thing that happened to him with Amber Guyger. The situation with him. He was home by himself, after a long day's work, eating ice cream and watching TV, and they burst into his apartment and with no warning just gunned him down right there in his apartment. And they use the same excuses with him that I'm sure they're definitely going to use with this man right here, that I've already started to see in these comment sections. So let me go ahead and read the article. His deputies responding to a disturbance call at a Florida apartment complex burst into the wrong unit and fatally shot a Black U.S. Air Force airman who was home alone when they saw he was armed with a gun, an attorney for the man's family said Wednesday. Now, look at how they frame that. They immediately just say armed with a gun. So they have to frame it as, oh, that was our reason for doing it, because he just happened to have a gun by his side. Is a senior airman, Roger Forston, age 23, who was based at the Special Operations Wing at Hurlburt Field, was at his home at Chez Elan Apartments, around 5 miles from the air base, when he was killed. Civil rights attorney Bill Crump said in a statement that Forston was on a FaceTime call with a woman at the time of the encounter. The alleged woman is said to have been his girlfriend. According to Crump, the woman, who Crump didn't identify, said Forston was alone in his apartment when he heard a knock at the door. He asked who was there, but didn't get a response. A few minutes later, there was an aggressive knock on the door, Crump said in a statement, but Forston didn't see anyone when he looked out of the peephole. The woman said Forston was concerned and went to retrieve his gun, which Crump said was legally owned. And this person, the people that was knocking on his door, it wasn't not even knocking. They were banging on the door. Of course, anybody's going to, their antennas are going to go up if someone's banging on your door. It's not like this person was knocking or ringing the bell. They were banging on the door. Usually if someone banging on the door, then that's going to make you feel any type of alertness. And keep in mind, this guy's military trained, so his level of thinking is vastly different from a regular citizen. As Forston walked back through his living room, deputies burst through the door, saw that Forston was armed, and shot him 6 times, according to Crump's statement. Forston was on the ground saying, "I can't breathe," after he was shot. Forston died at a hospital. Officials said the deputy involved in the shooting was placed on, of course, administrative leave, as per usual, pending an investigation. The woman said Forston wasn't causing a disturbance during their FaceTime call and believes that the deputies must have had the wrong apartment. The circumstances surrounding Roger's death raises serious questions that demand immediate answers from the authorities, especially considering the alarming witness statement that the police entered the wrong apartment. We are calling for transparency in the investigation into Roger's death and the immediate release of the body cam video to the family, which is what we're going to go after we go through this article. His family and the public deserve to know what occurred in the moments leading up to this tragedy. Crump is nationally, no, I don't have to read his resume. We already are well aware of who Crump is. Crump and Forston's family plan to speak at a news conference in Fort Walton Beach on Thursday morning, which of course has already happened. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office said in a statement last week that a deputy responding to a call of a disturbance in progress at the apartment complex reacted in self-defense after encountering an armed man. So now look at how they're trying to frame it now. They're trying to say that this person, this cop that killed him, was acting in self-defense. But when you look at the body cam footage, what were you defending yourself from exactly? The office did not offer details on what kind of disturbance deputies were responding to or who called them. Officials said earlier this week that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the local state attorney's office will investigate the shooting. FDLE spokeswoman Gretel Plessinger told the Associated Press on Wednesday that it is highly unlikely the agency will have any further comment until the investigation is complete. Okaloosa County Sheriff Eric Aiden said Wednesday in a statement, "All of us at the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office are saddened about the fatal officer-involved shooting over the weekend." Aiden said that he immediately placed the deputy on administrative leave. Mind you, we still don't even know who the deputy is, and has asked the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to conduct the investigation that is required in such incidents. The state attorney's office will also conduct an independent review. At this time, we humbly ask for our community's patience as we work to understand the facts and that resulted in this tragic event. Forston was assigned to the 4th Special Operations Squadron as a special missions aviator, where one of his roles as a member of the squadron's AC-130J Ghost Rider aircrew was to load the gunship's 30mm and 105mm cannons during missions. Fort Walton Beach is between Panama City Beach and Pensacola in the Florida Panhandle. And shout out to Insharinga Lineage, hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, for becoming a member of the channel. Scoop said, "Where's the Second Amendment people and where's the NRA?" They're probably at some kind of 45 rally. If I had to guess, that's probably where they are at. You know they don't really care about this. Look at what's going on with that Kid Gravity talked about him the other day. That black man that just got sentenced to 10 years for creating his own firearms. And Michael McCullough, I don't know how many people in here and not have heard about that story about that man in North Carolina whose name was Terry Hughes Jr. I didn't get a chance to do a video or a live about him, but when I saw that, I felt no type of way. I really didn't. I'm being completely honest with you. So that was the article right there. So now what I'm about to do is show y'all the full body cam footage leading up to the shooting. But before I do that, you know I gotta play the disclaimer just in case, because you never know. Oh, y'all said y'all hadn't heard it yet. Just go look that up. Terry Hughes Jr. Let's just put it this way. Think of Micah Johnson or Christopher Dorner and Gavin Long. You can throw you can throw him in there as the 4th. Just look that up, and I gave y'all incentive to now really go research it. So I'm about to play the body cam footage, and it's 4 minutes and 21 seconds long.
What's going on?
I'm not sure. I just was told to let her know if you guys come by.
Okay.
So I'm going to give her a quick call and let you guys know. Let her know that
So there was a fight going on or something?
I was not present for that.
Now keep this in mind, y'all. Well, y'all probably are aware of this. It was a PC woman that made this call. It was a PC woman that made this call, quote unquote call. Notice every time something like this happens, it usually comes from a call that involves them somehow. They're the ones making the call. Reminds me of Tamir Rice. It was a PC man that made that call when it came to what's his name? Also the same year, Crawford, John Crawford. It was another PC individual who made the call about that. Amber Guyger, we already know about her. But usually it's them making these calls that ends up on the other end of the spectrum. A black person ends up harmed by it.
Okay.
And if y'all hear, if it's points of the body cam that goes quiet, that's probably because they're saying names. So for identity purposes, they silence that part. That's not on your end or my end.
Yes, sir.
Are they fighting?
So this right here, that's blurred out, this figure that's blurred out, that's the white woman right there that made the call. That's her.
Fighting or something?
She was saying that it happens frequently.
Okay.
But this time it sounded like it was getting out of hand.
Okay, which store?
I don't know. So I'm not sure. 2 weeks ago, I was walking by their apartment, basically on this side, and I was hearing someone yell like "shut the f- up," like you stupid B word and all this other stuff, and I heard a slap like right after it. But
I need the proof that this happened allegedly 2 weeks ago. That's what I'd like to know. See what happens when PC don't mind their business? See what happens when they don't mind their business.
I wasn't sure where it came from,
Okay.
and I couldn't call. Like I didn't want to call the police. And,
Which room is it?
1401.
1401. Okay.
1401.
And if this was an issue like she claimed, why didn't she go like knock on the door and check to see if everything was okay? I mean, they investigate everything else. Why didn't she do that? Oh, she just heard some yelling. And it just had to be a problem. It had to be a disturbance. It had to be an issue. Exactly, Cruel. I was thinking the same thing. He could have been playing a game online or whatever. People really, people who are gamers and they get really into it, they will cuss up a storm.
But the girl sounded scared, the one that called. She said, she was like, it sounds like it's getting really out of hand.
So it's hit number 4, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. You be fair, we stand out there and direct the other deputy that's coming to this area?
It's not, you're going to go to the fourth floor and it's going to be on this side.
Gotcha. Three 12 111. Three 12 111.
So at this point right here, what they're trying to listen for is to see if there's this so-called disturbance that this lady was saying was coming from this apartment. That's at this point, that's what he's listening for, to see if there's this noise and this commotion that she says coming from it. I don't know about y'all, but my ears work just fine. I don't hear nothing. The only thing I hear is the birds chirping and the wind in the trees. That's it. This is Florida we're talking about, so you know it's a tropical state, so the weather is nice right about now. But I don't hear anything. If there was as much as investigative, quote unquote, as that woman was supposed, I guess, trying to be, if there was some noise coming from there, she would have pulled out her phone and like recorded the noise coming from the apartment and then had something to show. Not just call the cops because you heard something that something you claim to have heard. And how do we know again that it came from this apartment? Remember, Roger was on the phone on FaceTime with someone who's alleged to be his girlfriend. And the woman on the phone that he was talking to said there was no disturbance coming from the apartment. So they're definitely going to use the girlfriend as a witness for sure, you know, if this ever goes to trial. And look at that right there. So this one part right here is something that a lot of people have already picked up. He knocked on the door, and instead of staying in front of the peephole, so when Roger came to the door to see and look outside who was there, he steps to the side. So of course, what he's probably going to think is that somebody's maybe pranking him. Like you know how when you was a kid, you did something called ding dong, did you ring the doorbell and you run? That's probably what he thinks somebody's doing. He's probably thinking somebody's playing. But why would you knock on the door and then move out of the way?
Sheriff's office, open the door.
Again, like, why would you knock on the door and then leave the peephole? What kind of, y'all, I just have to get in my mind. This is Florida we're talking about here. This is the same Florida that is ran by Ron DeSatan. And we know all the stuff that has happened under his administration since he's been governor.
Sheriff's office, open the door. Step out.
I don't even think I can bring myself to play it past that part. You already know what happened. I'm going to stop it right there. We don't need to see anything else past that part. The only thing in that apartment besides him was the dog. As you can see, he has a little dog right there. The dog had to witness its owner get executed. Now, here's the firearm right here. He did not even have it pointed up in a defensive position. He brought it to the door because someone was banging on his door. And he gets shot 6 times. Exactly like Visions. He didn't do anything by protocol. Nothing. And they sat up there and shot and killed this man, shot him 6 times. Brother Sly said, and his finger was outside the trigger guard. Yeah, you can see it. Like if you look at it closely, it's not even on the trigger, it's on the outside. This man barely opened up the door or barely could get his door open, and all of a sudden someone raised the gun to him and executed him right there. But then you got the usual suspects and their co-colonizing cohorts up here talking about, you know, the usual thing that happens when it comes to black people when they have a firearm. Oh, why didn't he do this? Why did he do this? Why did he bring a gun to the door? What was he afraid of? What was he hiding? You know, the usual thing. To those out there who say stuff like that, I just want you to understand this. This can happen to you. As a matter of fact, it has happened to you, but y'all don't say anything about that either. I forgot what state it was in, but it was a couple years ago. Remember, a couple years ago, it was some state. I think it was near the West Coast, not all the way on the West Coast, where where it was a white man and a white woman. I believe that white woman was maybe his wife or his girlfriend, and they came to the door, and when the man opened the door, popped him right there in the doorway, just like right here. And not one of them said anything about it. But see, the thing is, they got their nose so much in our business and spread a whole bunch of propaganda all the time that they will overlook when this stuff even happens to them. Some of them will even use the same talking points against them as they do us. Stardust, Ryan Whitaker. Yeah, I forgot his name. Yes, that is his name. Ryan Whitaker. If y'all get a chance, y'all go and look that up. In Phoenix. That is why. That's also why a lot of people nowadays get some kind of a Ring device where you can see the camera, like you can see outside. You can look at it through your phone so you can see who's there. You can clearly see that unfortunately Roger didn't have that. But either way, you knock on the door like that and you're banging, that's going to alert anybody. And see, his military training is what had him grab his firearm, which they said was legally owned. Because you know they were probably looking to say, oh, it's no way he could have had that legally. But man, this is whoo. That is crazy. But like I said, make sure y'all look up the Terry Hughes Jr. story in North Carolina to calm yourselves down a little bit from this. And they don't even know if this was the right apartment, which I can just pretty much say I'm sure that it wasn't the right apartment. If there wasn't even an apartment to look for. Like what you said, he had the right to bear arms in Florida, of course. But you know, when it comes to us, there's always a loophole somewhere. It's always a loophole. It's never exactly straightforward like it is for other groups of people. I don't care what they say and what it is and what it isn't. We know what it is. And for all we know, Roger probably came to the door to look out the peephole initially after the first knock. Because remember, there was a little bit of time between that first knock and that second knock. So he could have came to the door to look out the peephole and saw nobody was there. Then he knocked again and stepped off to the side again, and he went back to look through the peephole again and saw no one was there. So when the next time they knocked, he got his weapon. And ironically, that was the time when the cop announced who they were. See, he probably thought the person was trying to prank him. He probably was like, wait a minute. If this was really the sheriff's office or sheriff's deputy, whoever he announced himself as, they would have said that the first time. So he was most likely, at this point, he was on the edge. Like, okay, somebody's playing at my door. Let me go get my power tool just in case, because you just never know. Roger didn't even get a chance to announce, like, can I help you? He didn't even get to say a word. Like, he was ready. Like, look how fast this cop grabbed his gun. He was swift with it. Exactly, Ronnie. Home invader. That's good. Another thing, home invaders lie and say police and hide off site. That's probably another thing. He probably thought that somebody was trying to break into his home. Good call. Danielle said the sheriff's deputy also didn't follow directions to the apartment being investigated. The lady told the deputy that it's the 4th floor and he got off the elevator on the 3rd floor. He sure did. He sure did. As a matter of fact, let me run that part all the back when he got off the elevator, because it did say the 3rd floor. Run that back. Look at that. Y'all see that? The woman said go up to the 4th floor. And he's on the 3rd floor. Yeah, I didn't even catch that at first. I had to go back and look at that. You said, "Oh, you said you want me to go back? Okay, let me mute it right quick because I don't need the noise." Hold on. Okay, you know what? We made a mistake. He did get off on the 4th floor. I didn't see that. I missed it. He did get off on the 4th floor. It's that when he walked, it just that the number took too long to switch from 3 to 4. But I saw it when he was getting off the elevator. It did switch to 4. So minor mistake. He did get off on the 4th floor. He did get off on the 4th floor because I saw it. It just that it switched. It's just that it didn't change to 4 like right away. But that still doesn't negate what he did in standing off to the side and knocking on the door when you should have kept your ass right there at the peephole. Just one knock is all it would have been. See, when he stood off to the side like that, that's what messed it up all right there. All you had to do was after the first knock. You see how he stood at the door, like right there, to listen to see if there was any noise? That's where he should have kept himself planted. But he wants to stand off to the side after he knocks. No one would have saw that. Let's look at this. So here's the door. The peephole is somewhere right up here. When he looks out the peephole, all he would have saw was the emergency, the fire alarm signal, and the fire extinguisher in this yellow wall. That is it. Nobody's there. And then he does it again. He did it multiple times. Now at this point, he's already knocked again, so he's moved from this side to this side. I guess you're supposed to expect, like, did a ghost or a spirit knock at my door? What's really going on here? That's why I say get some kind of a ring device. That way, You can look and see who's at your door, especially when they're knocking like that, and you can attach it as an app to your phone, and you can look and see who's at the door. And then you have some of them where you can speak out to the person, like you can like what's the issue and all of that good stuff. Like, it's almost like this cop is playing a game of hide and go seek. What in the world is going on here? Exactly like Richard said, talk to the doorbell. Talk to that Ring device. That's what's needed. I'm not going to play any more further because we know what's about to come up after that. But we pretty much get it. Exactly, Ronnie. Everyone would think a robber is outside and impersonating a cop, and that happens a lot. That happens a lot, and it's amazing because that's one of the oldest tricks in the book, and that's the easiest way to get into someone's home, because naturally people are like, "Oh, it's a cop coming here." Like, okay, what's really going on? That's a very easy, old home intruding tactic that has been done well over time. Exactly. Like, he didn't make his presence be known after the first. He made his presence known after the third knock, and you still couldn't see him. By that time, Roger Forston was already again on edge about the whole situation. So naturally, he got his firearm and came to the door. And then he opened the door. Like, okay, who is this? Who's knocking at my door and I can't see them? But that's the body cam footage right there. Let me move on to the next thing. And I hate when I have to turn off the ad block on these sites just to view them, because I know what them ads gonna pop up like crazy. So this article right here, this is the most recent article that's come out. It came out yesterday, and it's really basically talking about his body being taken from Florida back to Atlanta to be for his funeral, basically. It says the body of a Metro Atlanta airman who was killed by a Florida deputy earlier this month returned home. U.S. senior airman Roger Forston's body arrived at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport at around 4 p.m. Tuesday aboard an honor flight. His casket was pulled from the plane, draped with an American flag. The U.S. service member was fatally shot on May 3rd in Florida by an Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office deputy at an apartment. According to the Sheriff's Office, the deputy responding to a call about a disturbance in progress reacted in self-defense. Self-defense. They leaning on that self-defense thing after he encountered a 23-year-old man armed with a gun. That's literally that's the narrative they're really going with here. They're trying to make it seem like Roger Forston was the aggressor. Like, he just had to be dealt with. He just had to be taken out. It says the body cam video shows the encounter between Forston and the deputy. In the video, the deputy identifies himself and commands Forston to step back upon opening the door, followed swiftly by gunfire. Forston, seen with the firearm at his side, was shot by the deputy and killed. The family attorney asserted that Forston legally possessed the firearm found at the scene. And they have to harp on that, because if they don't, then they're going to try to say that he didn't own the gun legally. Because, of course, black people, according to them, we don't own our firearms legally. It's a cell phone video obtained by Forston family also captures audio of the encounter. Attorney said he was on a FaceTime call with a woman when the deputy arrived. The person on the other end recorded the encounter. Family attorney said Forston was from Atlanta and graduated from McNair High School in DeKalb County. Following graduation, he enlisted in the Air Force, where he was based in the Special Operations Wing at Hurlburt Field, right near Fort Walton Beach. Man. And you want to know what's so crazy? Someone actually made this observation around the time when this happened, and you got 217 people in here. Make sure y'all go ahead and hit the like on the stream. Notice that a lot of the times when people like him get taken out, these are like the people that could be the best and our brightest individuals, like the ones who actually are doing something for themselves, and they're very young, or they have already been doing something, or they have reached a level of success, and then boom, this stuff happens. So you just with his position, only God knows what he was about to do. His future could have been very, very bright. And now that was snatched away. Who knows where he could have ended up? Only 23. Of course, they're going to, like I said, they're going to go with the self-defense thing because that's the only thing they have to hang their hat on. They can't rely on anything else. And because he had the firearm by his side, they're going to harp on that too. Like they're literally going to try their best to get the cop off who did it. And also shield the woman who made the call too. They're going to do their best for that to happen. Ryan said, you notice how they're protecting the cop that shot? Of course, they always do that. They always do that. Like I said, they always like to take out the best and the brightest. Like I said before, PC better not get too comfortable with their usual talking points, even though many of them already have, when it comes to this, because if you think that this cannot touch you, you were sadly mistaken. Just because the mainstream media didn't talk about it doesn't mean it didn't happen. You know, there was always a saying that at one point black people would say, it's scary even just walking outside of my front door because there's a good chance I may not make it home, you know, especially with stuff like this. Now it's gotten to the point where you aren't even safe in your own home. Remember, I did I don't know if I talked about it. It wasn't a regular video, but it was a story that happened not too long ago where it actually was near me. It was near where I live, where this man was at home. It was a black man at home. They bust inside of his apartment and he's in the kitchen and they came in and literally shot him to death in his home, in his apartment. For, I guess, looking for someone else. I don't know. The usual excuse they always love to use. Pay attention now to the excuses they're using when it comes to basically what I would equivalent out to be home invasions. That's literally how I chalk it up. This is like a legalized home invasion. Daniel says, I think the deputy will get charged because the Republicans in Florida are upset about that situation. Well, we'll see, because at the end of the day, it's all about what the courts decide. I will not hold my breath simply because we have seen this happen before. Shout out to Black Alpha Network because he actually did a very good live about this last night, and he was going through different scenarios and cases where this was very similar in happening. You know, he brought up Tatiana Jefferson, brought up Ayanna Stanley Jones, Breonna Taylor, and of course Botham John. We saw what happened when it came to Tatiana Jefferson. Nothing happened. Breonna Taylor, they dragged their feet mainly because of Daniel Coomerin. Botham John and Amber Guyger only got 10 years a hug in a Bible. Ayanna Stanley Jones, we barely talk about her anymore. Yeah. So there's that. It's like a wash, rinse, repeat. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm not going to hold my breath. This is Florida at the end of the day. And PD says, well, the NRA is dead silent. Of course they are. Now, if it was flipped, they probably would say something. But then again, did they say anything about Terry Hughes? Did they say anything about the Terry Hughes situation? Because if they was quiet about that, that also says something. Now, one last thing I'm going to show y'all as it pertains, not necessarily to the story, but to this department, and it shows the straight up incompetency of this department, is this story right here, the Acorn one. I'm sure y'all heard about this too. Now, the story was reported in February of this year, but the actual event itself occurred last November. The Acorn one. Now, you know how incompetent you gotta be when you think an acorn is a gunshot. An acorn? How big was this acorn? That's what I'd like to know. Because I've seen acorns before, and acorns are very tiny. Of course, if they fall out the tree and hit you on the head, they're gonna hurt. That's why I try my best. If I'm like, if I was outside walking and it was under a tree, I try to make sure I don't walk underneath those, because those things do hurt when they hit you. If they fall out the tree and hit you on the top of the head, you will feel it. An acorn. Let's read into this, and then I'll drop the link. U.S. officer fired at handcuffed man in SUV after mistaking an acorn for a gunshot. This is the same department that just executed Roger Forston. Lewis says, what do I think the jury will consist of? Well, first off, we have to see if it even goes to trial. So if it goes to trial, then I'll spin the block on that question. A Florida sheriff's deputy mistook the sound of an acorn hitting his patrol cruiser for a gunshot. Okay, we've heard acorns hit cars before. We've heard gunshots. How do you compare the two? How? That's what I'm trying to figure out. How in the world? For a gun, and fired multiple times at the SUV where a handcuffed black man was sitting in the back seat. The man, who was being questioned about stealing his girlfriend's car, was not injured during the November 12th shooting. He was taken into custody but released without being charged. The officer who initiated the shooting resigned. He should have been fired. That and charged too with attempted murder. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office released the body cam footage video in an internal affairs report this week addressing the acorn for the first time. Do you know how embarrassing that would be for your whole department to have that get out there, that one of your officers thought an acorn falling on the car was a gunshot? You know how embarrassing that is? Investigators viewing the video from Deputy Jesse Hernandez's body camera saw an acorn falling just before shots were fired, and internal affairs reported by the sheriff's office concluded. The acorn bounced off the patrol's vehicle roof. That morning, Hernandez, a sergeant, and another deputy had responded to a call from a woman who said her boyfriend had stolen her car and was sending her threatening messages. The woman told deputies that the man had a weapon. Police detained the boyfriend and searched his car after handcuffing him and placing him in the back of the patrol car. That's where he was when the acorn hit the vehicle. Now, my thing is this. If you got the person that you were looking for handcuffed behind their back and they're in the car, how in the world could they have done anything possibly to make that kind of effect that would have you literally losing your mind and you're going to just shoot at the car? Like, you thought he had a gun? This is just about as bad as that story a few years ago where that black man was arrested and he was in the back of the patrol car with his handcuffs behind his back, and then he ends up dead in the back of the patrol car with a gunshot wound to the head, and they try to say he did it himself. I know y'all remember that one. This one is right up there with that one. When I first heard that, I said, that doesn't make any sense. How was someone, if you arrested them, first off, why would they even have the gun still on them if you cuffed them? Usually you would remove any type of weapon on them before you cuffed them. But that was the story they went with. Okay, fine. As Hernandez approached the passenger side of his patrol car, he heard a popping sound, which he later told investigators he perceived to be a gunshot, and he said he believed he had been hit. He began yelling shots fired multiple times, falling to the ground, rolling. The sheriff's report said he fired into the patrol car. Sergeant Beth Roberts heard the gunfire and Hernandez's screams and began firing into the car as well. That black man was lucky because he was handcuffed, so it was only so much movement that he could do. While the county state attorney's office found no probable cause for criminal charges, the sheriff's internal affairs investigation determined Hernandez's use of force was not objectively reasonable. Hernandez resigned on December 4th. Roberts' use of deadly force was found to be reasonable, and she was exonerated, the report found. The Okaloosa Sheriff Eric Aiden, who, remember, we read his name in the first article as it related to Roger Forston, said he realized that the situation was traumatic for the suspect, and his office has incorporated the shooting into training for other deputies. My goodness. He also said he did not believe that Hernandez acted with malice. The guy shot into a vehicle because he thought an acorn was a gunshot. Now, if that black man that they had under arrest was shot, he didn't even have to die. If he was shot, he would be getting a major payday from that. Well, maybe not that department, because with the way they have this thing set up, it would have been coming out of the taxpayers' pockets. Though his actions were ultimately not warranted, we do believe he felt his life was in immediate peril, and his response was based off the totality of circumstances surrounding this fear. Reviews of the case by the Sheriff's Criminal Investigations Division and the County State Attorney's Office found no probable cause for criminal charges for Hernandez, who started with the agency in January 2022. If you say so. All right, y'all. There's the link. There's the link for anybody who would like to come up and discuss. I'll probably keep the line open maybe till about 1:20. So it's like 12:54 now. So if anybody would like to come up and speak about this story, feel free to do so. And also be sure that when you come up that you are in a quiet location, please and thank you.
Look, you hear me? Hey, Tony, can you hear me?
Right, hold on. Okay, I just have to say this right quick. Like I said, if you are in a noisy environment, please get to a quiet one, because all the access back, the background noise is a lot. So if you are in a noisy setting, Please get to a quiet one. I would greatly appreciate it. Xavier, what's going on?
Hey, brother Torian, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
And this trauma that black people go through on a regular basis, it gets too much
Yeah.
sometimes. Like I couldn't even bring myself to watch the footage because man, I've had enough of watching, and I think I speak for all of us. We've had enough of watching, especially young black people getting murdered for no reason by people who are technically supposed to be trained to serve and protect. It- They're the ones doing the killing. I mean, this young brother, he's like a year younger than my little brother. My little brother is what 24,
Mm-hmm.
and it's I just keep thinking that what if this was him? Like every day, I'm so scared that I keep telling him to be careful out there because you never know about these guys, these race soldiers out here. They don't care, and because the system doesn't hold them, accountable with the qualified immunity stuff, they just tend to get away with this thing. I mean, there's multiple issues here. For starters, like you pointed out, that story with the acorn. I actually watched that video, and my heart was in my mouth for that poor guy in the car because I was like, Jesus Christ! They shot the car from multiple angles. It looked like a parody. Like it looked like it was some kind of sketch, but it was real. And thank God that that brother got out alive. And I think he could still sue them for
Okay.
endangerment if
Yeah.
he wanted to go go all the way.
And
And
he
I
should. And he
he
should.
should, yeah, definitely, because that is the height of incompetence when you can't tell the difference between an acorn and a bullet. That is crazy, and it goes down to their training that they train them. Because I've seen videos of like some of their police training, and I think there's this major organization that handles training for most police departments, and they train these guys to be scared, like to walk around scared and to shoot first, ask questions later. I'm not even kidding. Like they literally do not they don't train them to assess the situation. They train them to protect your life. And when I see these trolls online, every time tragedies like this happen, talking about how, oh, you don't want the police officer to go back home to his family. I'm like, hold on a second. You signed up to be a police officer. You weren't conscripted by the government to say, hey, you go put your life at risk. You chose to go through the training and risk your life to serve and protect. So you're telling me that that you would like say in any other profession, you wouldn't want this to happen. Like for instance, if you're in a plane and a pilot is afraid of heights, you really want your pilot to be passing out
Mm-hmm.
at high heights while you're in the plane with him, and you say, "Oh, don't worry," that yeah, you want him to get home to his family. It's okay for him to be scared. That is total bullshit, and they know it. And you can't give me that nonsense argument. It doesn't make sense. You need to if you can't handle the dangers of your profession, then get the fuck out of the profession. Do something out. Go do knitting or something. Stay in your house. If you're so scared of black people, stay in your fucking house and stop shooting people for no reason. And this particular case doesn't even look like he was scared. It looked more like he was planning to shoot the person, whoever came to the
Yeah,
door.
it was real quick. Like I said, how fast he shot him. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't even a delay. Yeah,
it is.
so
It is.
yeah.
It is so crazy. Sorry, super last thing. I just want to say, like, my heart goes out to this poor young man's family, and I really do hope that they pursue charges with this because this does not make any sense. It makes zero sense to me that
Mhm.
as black people, we can't be black anywhere on the planet and have a peace of mind. We have to keep worrying about everything. Getting back, getting home alive and all that. It's ridiculous. So
Mhm.
I mean, I'll land my plane there. And thanks for bringing me up. I
No,
really, this is so sad.
no problem. Thanks for coming up. And yeah, I don't know if y'all remember or not, but y'all remember when I did that video a couple months ago about that convention that those cops in Jersey had that got exposed about their so-called training. That's the training that many of those departments have across the establishment. That's not just a one-off thing because it was in Jersey. But I'm willing to bet many of them have that same kind of so-called training across the board. And shout out to Scoop 2003 for the 5. He says, this giving me PTSD. All the race soldiers I've encountered have never been good. Man, I have a story for y'all about one I kind of encountered when I was in undergrad. But I'll save that one for another day because I still got some people coming up. The Church of Black Power, what's going on?
How you doing, Torian?
What's going on?
Man, I'm blessed. Too blessed to be stressed. Man, I'm be honest with you. This whole situation it reassures me that this is their training.
Mm-hmm.
This is literally their training. Can't nobody teach me or tell me different. You know, like there's just too many instances where these type of situations happen. And they try to come out and say, well, we just need to train them better. We need to train them better. No, this is literally their training. First and foremost, this man was a Black Ops air fighter in the Army. Ain't nobody really discussing the fact that this man literally worked for the American government. And they did this to this man. They were sitting there knocking on the door, peekabooing from the eye hole so that he could not see who was at the door. This man literally asking his wife if you think it's the police. They heard this. You can hear it on the camera. And they still did this to this man. It didn't matter whether or not this man worked for the government, none of that. And this is one of the things that I have a continuous conversation with my friends about, because I have a lot of friends that work within the Army. And they sit here and they tell me time and time again, man, you know, it's not like that, this, that, and the third. And I tell them, you're lying like a mother lover, because the Army in itself is racist. There's people that come to me and tell me how Black folks are the most court-martialed situation overall in the Army. This is their training. And I'm sorry to be so frank, I'm just so upset about it, because every time I see this type of situation and they say, well, we need to train, the same thing happened under the same dang police chief with the whole Acorn situation falling. He said the same thing. We need to train them more. At this point, this is their training. That's what I'm going to land with. Much love to you, brother. Thank you for doing what you do. We out.
Right. And the piggyback, and it's something that the nuke put in here. It says then they have targets with Black people on them for training. Yeah, it wasn't for training, but it probably could be. But it was at a gun range. And I know, and this happened in Florida. And basically, this woman, she went to the gun range, and you know they give you the target and everything like that. And she just happened to look at one of the targets and said, "Wait a minute, I know the person on this target on this paper." She said, "That's my brother." It was her brother's mugshot. And they got exposed for basically using the mugshot of only Black inmates at this range. So what does that tell you? I remember that. And this again was in Florida. All right. Oh, that was the Children by Flower. Miss Nisi, what's going on?
Hey, Torian.
How are you?
Oh, now, well, I'm a mother of a 32-year-old, my son, and he wants to go on law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to hold my peace, but I just said, son, that is the last thing you need, is to be any part of law enforcement. When I was raising him, I told him from the age of 5 on up, I said, son, you need to always remember, you're in America. You're enemy number one. You're black and you're male.
Mm-hmm.
My heart is so heavy. I'm sure you hear it in my voice. I'm trying to keep from crying. I weep for our children. I weep for us as a people. I'm just so tired of this bullshit. I got to drop off right now. Torian, thank you.
That's understandable. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off so soon, Miss Nisi. But like I told people, this story right here was going to make people very emotional. I already knew going into it. I knew that it was going to affect people, and I know it affects Ms. Nisi because she just said that she has a 32-year-old son who wanted to go into law enforcement, and he's a black man. So it's very easy for her to see, the parallel there. It's very sad, and I'm sure that's probably how a lot of people feel, especially those out there who have black sons. When you think of a situation like this, because like I told y'all before, it used to be a thing of, oh, it's scary for us to even go outside of our front door out of fear we may not even make it home. This man didn't even just barely open his door and was executed right there. Like I said, Botham John was just sitting at home eating ice cream, watching TV, and he was killed. Like, he didn't even stand a chance. And Tatiana Jefferson was at home playing with her nephew, and she was executed from outside. Breonna Taylor was at home asleep, up in a very vulnerable position when she was executed. Anyway, next up we got AW1. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? How you been?
Doing good.
Yeah. Did you peep when I think this is one thing also that mainly exonerates this brother too. Obviously, everything else other than this cop being incompetent and being like overreactive. I mean, what killer would say, "Hey, what's happening?"
Mm-hmm.
Because did you peep that part?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, for me, you know what obviously the alt-right's going to do this and say, "Oh, well, he shouldn't have had his gun out, this and that." Come on, man.
Oh yeah. I saw those comments. And you know whose comment section I saw that under?
Who was it?
Fake them.
Oh, that fool.
Yeah.
Mr. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you mean Mr. Black? The same fool that justified Black Wall Street.
Yes, he. Whenever it comes to anything involving the cops and that, he's always going to try to justify it, and don't let it happen when there is a black person involved. Like, he's going to find a way to justify anytime something like that. In his eyes, they can never do any wrong. That's why I said they need to pull up his credentials when he was a cop and find out the real reason he was fired.
Right, but like I said, listen. And Torian, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna take advice from you. I would even go to that dude's channel. You already know what he's on. You just gonna stress yourself out.
That's the thing. The only reason I know about it is because
someone told you.
Yeah, like someone told me about it, and then I saw it, and that's when I looked under it. I was like, I shouldn't, but let me go and see, because I saw the thumbnail, and then I said, let me go ahead, and I said, let me look. I said, after about 5 comments, I said, yeah, the usual, the same old.
And you know the best part is too, and then I'm gonna go because I know you got other people. I mean, the way everything the cop was doing, it was like everything the cop was doing was very suspect. I was like, you didn't give the guy a chance, and you explained it well. It's like he looked out like, okay, it might be a prank.
That was just like what happened with Tamir Rice. Remember
exactly
when they up on him? They took him out in like 2.5. Like, as soon as they opened up the door. First off, if y'all look back at the surveillance from that, they almost ran him over. Like they came up and pulled up, and they was so close to hitting him, like with the car before.
He didn't have a chance
before getting out, and then they and shot him right there in front of his sister.
Didn't have a chance.
Did not have a chance.
And then, like I said, but yeah, rest in peace to this brother. And anyone that goes against this, you're a piece of garbage in my book. You're the same people that promote Second Amendment. Y'all should be where's Second Amendment, folks. That's all I can say. But all right, man, keep doing what you're doing, Tori.
Okay, appreciate you coming up. All right, next we got Don P. What's going on?
Hey, nephew.
What's going on,
man? When I saw that video, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. The cop, that's not a justifiable shooting.
It isn't.
The cop, first of all, the instruction should have been drop the firearm, drop your weapon. Because one, I have the drop on you. I've got the drop on you. If you raise it up, that's when I can let him go. But it's pointed to the ground, so he's not even brandishing the weapon, okay? Let me tell you, I speak from a place of expertise. I have 2 degrees in criminal justice, law enforcement administration. I've worked for 3 agencies. I was a police administrator. One of my roles was the training manager for San Mateo County. So I was in the Training Managers Association. We trained all the cops in that county. Cops in my department, cops in the other departments in the county. I've never seen any shit like that in my life.
Me neither. Even just looking at
shit like that in my life. Here's the deal. First of all, procedure. Where's your second officer? On every DV case, you have to have 2 officers, so when the parties are separated, you don't get hurt. Because if it's just you and you got 2 parties, you might end up with a cast iron skillet over your head, because it becomes a different situation when you enter in to that domicile and you're dealing with 2 parties that know one another. They can go against you. So first of all, where was his backup? Secondly, you didn't hear anything.
Exactly. That's what I said. When I was like, wait a minute, because when he knocked the first time, and I could tell when he was leaning in, he was trying to see if he could hear anything. I was like, I don't hear anything. It's very quiet. It doesn't even sound like anybody was even home.
See, he needed to call back into his dispatch and go, hey, can I get a correct, address on this? If you can't get one, then you go, well, I was out on the scene. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this call out. Now, this is what I wore Jason Black's ass out on the other night. He got so mad. He's like, take the night off. Yeah, okay, nigga, I got in your cookies. Y'all, if you're not expecting anyone, don't answer the door. It's that simple. Just don't answer the door. Because, so what Black and I were going back and forth on is this. Oh, well, he could enter. No, he can't. He doesn't have a warrant, and there were no exigent circumstances. The fact that he didn't hear anything like a cry for help or screaming or anything like that eliminated exigent circumstances. So he had no legal right to enter that dwelling. So y'all, simple. Don't answer the fucking door. If you're not expecting nobody, don't answer the goddamn door. I land my plane there.
I appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Don P. Jonathan, I had to drop you off because it looks like from the video, your camera looks like you was about to get into another kind of noisy environment. So nothing personal, but like I said, we're trying to have it where people are in quiet environments when they come up to speak, so we can hear effectively what people have to say. But y'all, that was the last person to come up for today to speak on this topic. I'm going to get ready to shut everything down. Shout out to everybody that came through for the stream. Shout out to Crew Reality for becoming a member of the channel, and Savion and Scoop for contributing to the super chat. And also shout out to Sun God Sis, because she actually contributed to the Cash App in my premiere, and I wanted to shout her out on this one. So shout out to her for the contribution. But yeah, this is a very sad story, and hopefully it's a story that stays in the news. We got to find a way to make sure it stays in the news. It's crazy. Not even a year has passed since what Ryan Palmer did at that Dollar General last August. Now we got this. Remember, y'all, this is Ron DeSatan's Florida here. The same place where he says the woke goes to die. Keep that in mind, amongst some other things. But y'all, we will be back tomorrow. We have the 11 a.m. premiere video. It's going to be about Alexander Ye and the mass school shooting that he plotted to commit in Anne Arundel County, which is about 45 minutes away from me. And it's crazy because I didn't even hear about that story until way after it happened. But y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Shout out to the replay gang, and for those who wasn't able to catch the live, be safe and be one.